everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm featuring products from Pink Main. I'm doing this holiday little wreath, and I'm also going to be using products from Thermoweb. This is flock transfer sheets. So let's go ahead and get started. I've pulled out my Starry Night stencil from Pink Main, and before I get started, I do want to grab my pixie spray because I love this stuff anytime I am stenciling now. So I'll put that into my box, and then I lightly shake the can, and then I do a very soft mist of this across the stencil. If you have not used pixie spray, it leaves a tacky consistency on the back of your stencils, and it helps your stencil stay into place. Now you will see a light film on the back of this stencil, and that's what you want. You do not want to be heavy-handed with this product. All right, now I have cut down a piece of ice rink paper, and this is from Pink Main, and I will go ahead and line that up on my mat. But before I start with the stencil, I want to use my Metallix gel. This gel is so pretty. I want to put down just a faint layer of this onto the cardstock. So I put a little bit onto my mat, and this is the waffle flower mat I'm using here. And then I'm just going to grab a makeup brush, a pretty large makeup brush. Now this consistency does not have to be smooth on this background. I just wanted to get a secondary color down instead of the white. Now this stuff kind of goes on like butter. If you use this just with a stencil and then a palette knife, it's a lot smoother, but I want to buff it into my paper so it kind of mimics metal. So as you can see, I'm just dragging it on there, pulling some of that color off of that mat onto that ice rink paper. And again, I don't have to be perfect with this because I'm going to be covering up a lot of this with the stencil. But I did not want my background to be white. And I love using this Metallix gel, this glaze. It just looks so pretty on a background. So I'll go ahead and buff that in. And again, I don't have to be perfect on this. I'm just lightly buffing that in, and when I pick up the paper, you're going to see it almost looks like metal. So can you see that? I have like a nice little shine all over the card, and that's what I want. I'm just going to grab the rest of that off because, you know, no product needs to go to waste here, and lightly buff in the rest of it. Now this stuff dries pretty quickly since I just use a very, very faint layer of this. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off to the side, let it quickly dry. And I just want to show you that this product comes off phenomenal on any kind of mat. I just have a baby wipe here, and I'm just lightly going across it. And you can see the product did not stain. It's just lightly coming off of that. Really easy peasy. All right, now since I have that done, I do need to make sure I clean my brush though. I'll take that to the sink a little bit later with a little bit of water. Now this piece is almost dry, however I am going to heat it with my heat tool just to make sure that I have a good even coverage and that none of that glaze is going to stick to the back of my stencil. So as you see, I'm just lightly going back and forth. The gun's not even really that hot. I just used a little bit of product, so I'm good. Now I'll flip that over, and then I'm going to grab my stencil. I'll place this stencil right over that beautiful background. Now if you wanted to, you can leave it like this, and you could have put the Metallix glaze right on top. So I'll press that down, but I want to step it up a notch. So I'm using Glitz glitter gel, and this is in the silver. This is a newer color, and I could not wait to get this onto a card. I'll pull some of that product out. Now, if you guys have seen me ever stencil before, you know that I like to put the product on my mat before I actually bring it to my paper. So I'm just going to dump some of it off, and then I like to just like scrape it back on. I don't like to go directly to my paper in the beginning with any kind of gel. So I'll evenly pull that across, making sure to get an even coat and not miss any spaces. Now if I start running out, I'll go right back into the jar and just grab a little bit more. And now since I have most of the top part, I don't mind putting the Glitz glitter gel down onto the stencil at this point. As you can see, I'm not using a lot of product. Basically what I took out for this first two swipes is what I'm actually using. So I'll lightly go over, and I just want to make sure all the areas are covered. And then I'll rake that palette knife gently against the grain of the stencil, and then you see how much product I have left to put back in there. I make sure to clean off the top of my jar and make sure no product is sitting at the top. Next, I'm going to come in with my stencil pal, and this is just going to help me get that last even coverage that I need. So I'll write that down, and you can see I still had a lot of product on there that I can swipe right back into that container. Now here comes the magic part. This is the part I love anytime if I'm messing with a stencil, is the reveal part. So I'll grab the side of the stencil and gently lift up forward. And look how gorgeous this background is. Now, if I kept it white, I think I might be competing with the stars on here. So I wanted to mute it down a little bit. And you can see that pretty metallics color behind it. And then you see all that beautiful silver on top. Like always, I don't like to waste any product. So I'm just going to lightly take my spatula right across that mat. As you can see, that mat cleans up really, really easily. And then I can put it right back in a jar. And I just make sure to go around the edges before I seal it so there's nothing sitting on top. And now I can go ahead and close that up. While my panel dries, I'm going to work on my elements. So I'm grabbing out this larger wreath and the little bow. Now this comes with a matching stamp set, but I'm not going to use the stamp set today. I'm going to use the emerald green transfer flock sheets. And I love this color. I've used it before in a video and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to run this first through my die cut machine, just plain like this. Once I have that run through, I want to make another one of these, but I want it to be a little bit thicker. So that's when you have some really nice sheets of this transfer flock, whole sheets, I'm going to show you how you can add some dimension to this. So I'm using my Deco foil. These are adhesive sheets, foam sheets. And it's like an entire panel that has sticky glue on it. So all I have to do is line this up and peel off the back. And then I can stick that flock right on top of this. And it becomes kind of like a thick sticker. So I'll grab my flock. I'll peel back that protective layer. And this stuff is really sticky. All I'm going to do is line up that piece. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use all of this today, but that's okay because I'll have this available for the next time I need to die cut or cut out any shapes or words. Now, all I have to do is trim this piece down. Once I have that trimmed down, I'm going to do the same thing with some of this red glitter paper from Pink Main. I love this glitter paper. I'll make sure to link all the products below so you guys can see how many gorgeous colors this glitter paper comes in. And the glitter does not come off the paper. That's another bonus with this paper. You won't get all that glitter on your hands. All right, I'm going to do the same exact thing and trim this down. Now again, I'm not going to use much of this, but it's okay. I'm going to have scraps that I can use for a later date. All right, now since I have that, I can go ahead and grab my little bow. And I'm just going to trim down a piece of this. Obviously, I don't need the entire piece to go through my die cutting machine. So I'm just using my Fisker scissors here, and I would trim that down. I'm going to do the same exact thing with the wreath. I have my wreath here. I'm going to line it up. And then all I have to do is use my scissors again just to cut down what I need. Now again, these scrap pieces are going to go right back in that envelope and I'll be able to have them for later. All right, now since I have these two pieces, I can run these through my die cutting machine. Once I have that completed, I'm going to have two really great, in my opinion, they're like stickers, thickers. That's what they're called, thickers. So I have some great dimension on this without having to layer up a bunch of stuff. And I didn't have to use a whole bunch of pieces of foam tape. So as you can see, I have some good thickness on that. And I'm going to grab the one that I initially started with. And that's just the plain one. And I want to line this up on the top of this one. And the reason I'm doing that is just to give this a little bit more green dimension from the side. I will use my Hero Arts glue, and I'm just going to dab this glue all the way around. Now you can skip this step and just do the one layer of green, but I like to see like on the side of it when I'm finished, I like to see 2 layers of green. But again, that's a personal choice. I can line this up now and then gently press that into place. I also could have did both of these on the adhesive sheets, the foam adhesive sheets, but it would have been really, really thick at that point. But you can see now that there's 2 layers of that green, and I think it just looks a little bit better than just the 1 layer. So making sure everything's lined up. And now I want to add some detail to this wreath. So I'm grabbing out a dark green Copic marker, and I'm just putting in some lines that would mimic the ferns of a tree, or ferns of a wreath rather. And I'll just gently go around. Now be very careful with this. You don't want to push down too hard with your Copic marker and end up damaging your tip. Just be very careful when you do this, because as you can see, it's totally easy to draw on to this flock with a Sharpie, or in my case here, I'm using a Copic marker. So I'm going to go all the way around just so I have some detail to this wreath, and instead of it just being that plain color. Now, since I have that done, I can go ahead and start building up my card. So look at the detail on that. That looks really, really pretty. And now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place that beautiful bow. I think I'm going to place it at the bottom part of my wreath. But again, if you did not want to add the bow on it, totally up to you. You can leave it plain. You can add sequins to your wreath. Totally up to you. I've seen people put tiny little buttons on their wreaths. I also saw them do it, make a bow out of regular ribbon, or also a bow out of baker's twine. Just remember, what we're showing you during this card series is to inspire you to make your holiday cards. We're not dictating what you do. Everything is optional in this series. All right, just making sure that that's exactly where I want that bow. And then once I'm done, I can go ahead and place that down. Now again, this is already a thick like sticker, so I'm good to go as far as dimension is concerned. And look how pretty that bow looks. Now it's time to bring in that paper. And by using that Metallix gel, it really toned back that paper and gave me a tone on tone look with the 2 silver colors. I absolutely love how this turned out. Now I need to put a little sentiment at the bottom. So for my sentiment, I chose to use a Holly Jolly out of a sentiment pack from Pink Main. I'll make sure to link that package below. And I'm going to stamp this on some ice rink paper. I'm going to bring in my Misty for this, just so I know that it's going to be lined up correctly. I'll place that right into the corner. And I think this Holly Jolly goes beautifully with what we have going on with our card. I'll line that up, and now to stamp this, I want to use a pretty red color. So I went ahead and I grabbed some Pink Main cubes, and this one is called Stop Sign, and it's a gorgeous red color, and that's going to work perfectly with the Stop Sign glitter paper. So I'll tap that on there. And I'm just making sure I get good coverage, because this is a brand new sentiment that came out of the pack, and I did not have a chance to condition this one. So I'll lightly tap my fingers all the way across. Then I can open up my lid, and I got pretty great coverage for this, but I do want to darken that up just a tiny bit. So I'll dab some more ink on there, and then I can swing over my Misty lid and close that down. And I'm going to press pretty firmly. And then I can lift that up, and it's just a shade bit darker. Not much darker, but just a shade bit darker. Now for this, I don't have a die, so I am going to just grab my scissors, and I'm going to fussy cut this out. I didn't want to just have a white border around or on that panel, because I thought that it would just take too much away from the nice background. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave myself a little white border around the sentiment instead, since this is going on to a white card base. Once I get that all trimmed down, you'll see I just have a nice little shadow around that sentiment. And that's going to keep it from getting lost on the background, but it also keeps me from having a lot of white on this card. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and finish building the card panel up. And I think that looks beautiful with that wreath. I can go ahead and remove the backing. Now that's the great thing about this double-sided foam adhesive, is that it's adhesive on both sides. So once you cut it out, whatever you put on top is going to be stuck. And then you can gently, and I mean gently, my nails are broken at this point. I'm just peeling back that paper. And it's a good release paper. At this point, I still cannot find my tweezers. I told you guys that in several videos back that I can't find my tweezers. And I still have yet to find my tweezers. So I'll gently just pull that around. And it's really nice and tacky. This is absolutely perfect. And because it's nice and tacky, it's going to stick to all that glitter on the background. So I'm just going to stand up and like look over my card just to make sure I'm getting it on there straight. And remember, anytime you want to add adhesive and you don't want to use double-sided tape, you can definitely use this same product. As you can see here, I have a strip of it left. I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut down a piece. Now, obviously, you can cut this thinner or thicker, but it works perfectly if you don't want to use foam tape. Now, you guys know I use a lot of foam tape on my cards, but since I already have this out, there's no need to pull out the foam tape. I can use this double-sided foam adhesive and it's going to work just as perfect. And what I'm going to like is that I'm going to have the same height on the sentiment as well as the wreath. So go ahead and press that down on the back of the sentiment and rub that in. And then I can just take off the adhesive back as well. Again, if I had my tweezers, this would make my life so much easier. I think I'm just going to break down and have to buy another pair at this point, because I'm wrecking my nails today. All right, so I'll pull that off and then I can go ahead and pop that down. And that sentiment looks absolutely gorgeous. I love the font on this. And you guys know I'm a big font snob when it comes to sentiments. And I love this one with this wreath. All right, now to finish up the wreath, I thought I would add some berries. So I went ahead and I pulled out my Nuvo drops. These are the sparkly ones. And I just thought I'll add a few of them around my wreath. Now this is going to be a darker red color and I'm okay with that. I don't need to have everything matchy-matchy. So I'm gently just going around, putting a few berries here and there, all the way around this wreath, just to give myself a little bit more color to that green area. I'll squirt out a few more, and then this looks great. Look how pretty that looks. And I have a lot of dimension and sparkle on this card. Now it's time to go ahead and put this onto a white card base. I am using the Ice Rink 110-pound card base from this. This paper is also from Pink Main. And I'm going to grab my ATG gun. Now, I'm not going all the way to the edge of my card on this because that panel has already been cut down. So I don't want to take my adhesive all the way to the edge. So I'm just going to kind of put it towards the middle of the card. But on the back of this piece, I am going to grab myself some wet adhesive. I just want to have a little bit of wiggle room to get this down in place. So I'm just searching for my Hero Arts glue pen because I just had it. And I'll twist off the cap and I'll go ahead and put this on the back. Now, every product that I use today is going to be listed below for your shopping convenience. Don't forget that we use affiliate links. And that helps us to keep bringing videos to you as far as showing you guys new products. And that support is greatly appreciated by all of us here on YouTube. I'll press that down. And I'm really loving this card. I love all the sparkle, but I do want to bring a little bit of red, a tad bit more onto that silver piece. So I'm just going to go right back to those Nuvo drops and just add a few at the top and the bottom. I'm being very careful not to touch my wreath at this point because it's still wet, but it will dry back and it will be absolutely gorgeous. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up my card today. I cannot believe we're already at day 19. We have 9 more days to go, so make sure to keep watching. Leave those comments, and don't forget to subscribe to everybody. I will see you guys in another video soon. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.